Underworld, unknown location. A man with a handsome face and silver hair looked at the scene before him and smirked in excitement. The battle he saw was fantastic. It made the Great War between the three factions nearly 200 years ago look like a battle between kids. These, shinobi, kunoichi and samurais, their power was exceptional. He wished he could have them at his command. They would be an unstoppable army in the war he was going to start with. All the factions. The black-haired boy caught his attention as his powers were based on the name of the Eastern gods. Amaterasu, that flame was far greater than the strongest power of destruction of the Ball clan, a never-ending flame that could burn anything to nothing. Not to mention that the power of Susanoo was so great and powerful that it could even defeat the strongest Dragon King, Tamneen. It's too bad that the boy had returned to the light and chose to protect the world instead. What a shame. However, the person caught his attention the most was the blonde-haired boy. That boy, there was something about him that he couldn't understand. How could someone who lived in a village with so much hatred towards him since he was a small child could still care about those filthy humans? He should have killed off all those humans, or at the very least turned his back on them. The thing that amazed the silver-haired man the most was the boy's belief in his promises. He never broke a promise, no matter what happened. Someone like him will be a fine addition to his army. Not to mention the power he housed. He had known about Yasaka, the leader of the Yukai faction and the strongest Kyuubi at the moment, with the strength that could rival a Dragon King. But the power of Kurama, the Kyuubi that is sealed inside the boy, could make Yasaka ran off with her tails between her legs. When the blonde-haired shinobi took the fox's power, this war became far more exciting for the silver-haired man. As if that wasn't enough, the blonde boy could also use senjutsu, a power that only Yukai in his dimension could use, yet they always turned crazy due to the power behind it being so overwhelming. Yet this human boy had somehow mastered senjutsu and could completely control himself. Even the oldest of Yukai couldn't control all that natural energy like him without being turned into a psycho. That's it. If he could bring the boy to his world and make the boy be completely under his command, then he would win this war easily. Smirking, the silver-haired man decided to go to his library. If he remembered correctly, there was a spell that could enable transport through dimensions. A few days later. Rias-sama. Please, you have to slow down. No way, Enku. A cheerful voice shouted out. A few citizens of the capital of the underworld poked their head out of the windows and saw a giant creature at a height of about 2 meters, a body resembling that of a horse or deer, with red scales instead of fur. His face resembled that of a red Asian dragon, and he was chasing after a cute girl, around 11 or 12 years old, with crimson hair and green-blue eyes, who was cheering loudly while sliding through the streets with her roller skates. The citizens who were still on the street had to jump out of the way of the girl while the creature apologized to them as he passed by. The citizens smiled at this scene. That was a common sight now. Everybody heard that their leader had bought a pair of roller skates for his sister's birthday. The little girl, who was none other than the Princess Rias Gremory, the heiress of the Gremory clan and sister of Circe's Lucifer, one of the 4 leaders of the devil world. And the creature that was chasing after her was Enku, Rias's caretaker, and her brothers. Pawn. The girl continued cheering out loudly when she slid like a pro through the street of Lilith. Day after day of practice at home while being watched by Enku had annoyed Rias greatly, so here she was. She had found a way to run from her brother's pawn and had a little time for her own. She just wished that her best friend Aquino and little Kaneko were with her right now, but they were training at her brother's castle, and no matter how much she tried, her parents didn't let them play with her until night time. She understood that her parents just wanted them to be strong to protect her someday, but with an otaku like her, she always dreamed about a knight in shining armor would come to take her one day, just like how the main female character in the latest anime she got from her dad met the main male character. Rias slid to an alley and hid there. She waited until Enku passed through her and went out, going straight to the opposite direction until she was finally free. Now she could do whatever she wanted without Enku or her parents stopping her. But first, she had to hide her identity. Just one look and everybody would know that she was Rias Gremory. It's all because of her hair color, which was too unique and recognizable. So Rias pulled out from her pocket a ribbon she had borrowed from Aquino this morning and a cap to put on her head and hide her face. Being a princess and the next heir to a big family was a huge burden. Even though Rias was just 10 years old, she knew how important her responsibility was, but like any children her age, she wanted to have fun, to play with people her age. She always slept with Aquino at night and the two talked about girl things. What she needed right now was a friend that played with her and could talk to her normally. Her friends at school always looked up to Rias as a princess, not as a friend like she always wanted. Deep in thought, Rias couldn't see that she was heading straight into a boy who was crossing the street. Before Rias understood what happened, her head had crashed into his stomach and knocked the two of them to the ground with her on top. Groaning out in pain from the impact, Rias lifted her head up and came face to face with the boy she was just crashed into. His eyes were telling her that he was in pain. Maybe she had crashed into him a little too hard. Can you get off me? Her cheeks reddened a little at the position she was in and quickly stood up, but her roller skates had a better idea. Rias fell right back into the body again, this time with her but right in his face. Sorry. I'm very sorry. She screamed out and stood up, with better balance this time. The boy slowly sat up and Rias had a good view of him. The boy, while looking no older than her, was slightly taller than Rias. His hair was blonde but was really bright, almost golden. His eyes were blue and his face had 3 faint whisker marks on each side of his cheeks, making his face even cuter. Unconsciously, Rias brought out her hand and touched his whisker. Hey, the boy jumped back a little. What do you think you're doing anyway? Oh, sorry. Rias smiled, embarrassed. Sorry for bumping into you. Don't worry about that. Seeing that the blonde hairy boy was trying to ask for her name, Rias quickly thought about a fake name to answer him. she couldn't let him know that she was Rias Gremory, or else Enku would find her. Akino. Himojima Akino. Rias said quickly, hopefully the black-haired girl didn't find out about Rias was using her name. Naruto. Naruto Uzumaki. The boy, now named Naruto, smiled warmly at her. So, Akino-chan, what are you doing anyway? I hope you're not playing the crash into someone game. The redhead's cheeks turned red once again and looked down to the ground, embarrassed. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Don't worry about it. Naruto looked at her roller skates and saw it was a very expensive one. So Akino-chan, looks like you're from some rich family, eh? Seeing that Naruto was looking at her roller skates, Rias smiled a bit. Yeah, isn't it beautiful? My brother bought it just for me. Rias smiled and slid around him. This was one of her favorite presents from her brother after all. It was a pair of the roller skates that had magic in it, meaning that it would grow with her and fit her feet perfectly, no matter how big she became. It was crimson in color to match her hair, but decorated with a few bluish gemstones. The roller skates were really expensive, and no matter how she didn't want to be like a spoiled brat like that Razor, her fiancé, when she grew up, she still really wanted this roller skate when she saw it at the store. Her dream came true when her brother gave it to her at her latest birthday just a week ago. Having a family is very cool, isn't it? Naruto smiled sadly and began to walk away. Rias looked at Naruto and finally realized the clothes he was wearing, it was really dirty and was torn everywhere. His body was really thin, he looked like he hadn't ate anything in a long time. A little sad, she realized the boy was an orphan. She quickly followed him. With her roller skate speed, it was really easy for her to catch up to him. Wait, Naruto-kun, how about you and I go to that shop over there and get something to eat? Rias asked and pointed her finger at the food store behind them. When she saw Naruto try to open his mouth to refuse her offer, she quickly pulled his hand straight to the store. Don't worry, I'll pay. Rias always has some money with her every time she goes out. It was the money that she saved up from what her parents gave to her each month. While eating at the food store, Rias and Naruto talked about a lot of things. However, the crimson-haired girl always tried to avoid talking about family because she didn't want Naruto feel sad or left out. Rias talked about her studies and her rivalry with Sona. She also talked about her best friend Akino, where she avoided saying her name, and the quiet girl Kaneko. This was the first time Rias felt so free and comfortable with anyone. Rias enjoyed being with Naruto as he was really kind and funny when she got to know him. When nighttime came, the time to say goodbye had come, and Rias didn't want to leave Naruto. He made her happy and became her first friend that didn't look at her as a princess. Maybe it was because of the fake name she gave him, but Rias somehow felt he would still be the same even if she had given him her true name. Well, Akino-chan, I guess we have to say goodbye now. Naruto said warmly, thank you for the meal, Akino-chan, you really saved me today. Naruto-kun, I don't want to leave you, she said sadly, but an idea suddenly popped into her head and she caught his wrist and pulled him with her. Let's go, Naruto-kun, I will bring you to my home. And she was interrupted by Naruto. No, Akino-chan. Naruto took her hand and gently pulled out of her grip. A lady like you shouldn't be friends with me to begin with, so you don't have to worry about me. Really, Akino-chan, I mean it. But. Alright, then how about we make a promise? Naruto said to her, when he saw tears welling up in her eyes. If you have free time, you can come out and play with me again. I will wait for you. If you don't come tomorrow, I will still wait for you. Then we can play with each other again. Promise? Rias wiped the tears out of her eyes and smiled. She brought out her pinky finger and smiled. Promise. Naruto nodded his head and hooked his own pinky finger with her. After saying goodbye to Naruto, Rias went straight to her home and saying that her parents were angry was an understatement. They had scolded her about her disappearing, and Anko looked like someone had just come back to life. They forbid her from doing that again, and Rias quickly nodded her head, but after her parents were out of sight, Rias smiled brightly and returned to her room with a big smile on her face while humming a soft tune. From that day onwards, Rias always found an excuse so that she could get out and play with Naruto. At first, her parents still scolded Rias about disappearing from Anko's sight, but after a week of seeing that their daughter was happier than normal, they brushed it off and let her do whatever she wanted, with the condition that she stays in Lilith. Rias had said that she wanted to stay with her brother longer, and it was summer vacation, so Rias didn't have school, so half of her time at the capital was spent playing with Naruto. Naruto, while he wasn't older than her, was still very mature for his age. She guessed it was because living in the street at the young age had made Naruto mature faster than normal. But still, he was just like her, a child, and did what a normal child always does: playing, laughing, crying, and asking a lot of questions. Rias and Naruto played every game they could in the park and ate everything a normal child always wanted. Maybe she was still too young to know it, but she had already begun developing feelings for him. Era, you look very happy, Rias-sama. Akino giggled behind her, while Rias was brushing her hair with a smile on her face. She and Akino always slept with each other, and recently, the heiress of the Gremory family always wanted to go to bed early. She had planned a lot of fun games to play with Naruto tomorrow. It had been 2 months already, and Rias always went out in the morning and returned at lunch, then went out again. There was not a single day Rias stopped trying to make Naruto go to Gremory Castle and be a servant there, or even better, be one of her servants, a member of her peerage. However, no matter how much she tried, Naruto still refused her offer, but that was the only thing she felt sad about. Is it about your crush? Her queen smirked mischievously, making Rias blush brightly. Akino always teased Rias about Naruto from the day she told her best friend about him and how she met him, and the fact that she was using the queen's name. Okay, Rias-sama. I promise I will help you. After all, I'm your queen, aren't I? Rias nodded her head at her queen. Tomorrow, Naruto-kun, tomorrow, and you will be mine. The two girls quickly drifted into the land of dreams, with the red-haired girl dreaming about a certain blonde-haired boy. Midnight, Lucifer's castle. A lone figure was making his way through the corridors of the castle. With a black katana in his hand, his movements were slow, moving without making a sound, and passed through the servants of the castle without being seen. He finally made his way to where his mission target was located. Slowly and carefully, he opened the room that led to her bedroom. His master gave him this mission, a mission he couldn't fail, no Matter what happened, all for his master, the one had given him a purpose in life. When the door was opened, the figure quickly jumped onto the bed, with his katana raised above his head, ready to finish his mission once and for all. Suddenly, a giant fireball was sent straight at him. From a bright magic circle, being caught off guard, he jumped out of the way to avoid the fireball, but his right sleeves had been burned slightly. Maybe this mission wasn't as easy as his master said. The light had been turned on and the boy was face to face with one of the most powerful peerages in the world, with the leader being none other than Sirzex Lucifer, one of the four great Satans, who was releasing his monstrous magical energy with a cold look in his eyes. "Who are you?" Sirzex asked coldly. Enku had felt a massive magical energy made its way to the castle. The energy was so great that everyone thought one of the old Mao had come here. Sirzex had called for all his peerage and ready for the battle, but he was shocked that the monstrous energy was coming from a child. Rias and Aquino had woken up and were shaking uncontrollably on the bed while looking at Sirzex in fear. The boy slowly took off his burned jacket and laughed a little. He picked up his katana and turned around, ready to face the entire with the most likely outcome being that he won't come out alive. Naruto Uzumaki. "I'm here to kill the sister of Sirzex Lucifer." Hearing that name, Rias's and Aquino's eyes snapped wide open and looked up to see the boy. The heiress of Gremory couldn't believe her eyes anymore. The Naruto she had been playing with all these months was standing before her with a katana in his hand and was ready to kill her. If not for her brother interfered, she would be dead right now. But the Naruto standing before her wasn't the Naruto she knew. Gone was the warm smile and happiness whenever he met her. Now, standing before her was a killer with a predator's eyes, a smirk on his face. Looking at a Naruto who was like this, Rias was too shocked and scared to do anything. "Who told you to kill my sister?" It looked like Naruto didn't saw Rias's face yet, because he was still looking directly at Sirzex's eyes. "Tell me and I will make your death faster and less painful." "How generous, Lucifer-sama," Naruto said with his blade ready at his side. Sirzex couldn't believe that this child was ready to fight him. He cursed whoever had used this child to do something like taking another child's life. "But I won't say anything, all for my master." Naruto sighed and disappeared from their sight, only to reappear in front of Sirzex and swing his blade at him. But Tsuji Okita, Sirzex's knight, was faster than him and blocked the attack with his own katanas. But his eyes widened when the boy smirked. His blade began to crackle with electricity and it slowly cuts through Tsuji's blades, making everyone's eyes widen in shock. Seeing his friend couldn't handle the boy alone, Beowulf jumped in and sends a powerful kick to the boy's stomach and send him flying straight out of the window to the garden of the castle. The peerage quickly brought out their wings and jumped out of the window while Enku stayed to protect Rias. Sirzex's eyes widened when he jumped out of the window. He felt the familiar feeling of senjutsu above him and turned around, only to come face to face with a massive swirling blue energy orb head straight to him and his peerage. Bring out his hand to block the attack. He couldn't believe the force behind it and was slowly being pushed down to the ground with his peerage. Luckily for him, Bahamut had flown down to the boy and tried to bite him with his massive jaw, but the boy had jumped out of the way first. With the orb disappeared, making everyone sigh in relief, but their eyes began to widen again when the boy appeared above Bahamut's head with his hand rose high into the sky. Lightning
began to appear in the sky, and when Naruto brought his hand down, a massive bolt of lightning in the form of a Kirin hit straight into
Bahamut's body with a massive boom.
Bahamut's body crashed into the ground hard, sending dirt and
earths flew everywhere. Before anyone could scream out his name, Naruto had appeared again before McGregor and sent a powerful punch into his stomach. The force was so strong that it created a powerful shockwave that broke every single window within their 20-foot radius. The Bishop of Surzex fell unconscious to the ground. Grafia quickly cast a powerful ice spell, sending wave after wave of ice spear to Naruto, but the boy was too fast. Smirking, he brought his hand together in front of his face and breathed in deeply, and after a few seconds, he breathed out a powerful fire in the form of a phoenix, easily melting down the ice and would have defeated Grafia if not for Beowulf, Surtur and Suji blocking the fire with their bodies. Beowulf, Surtur, Suji. The strongest queen screamed out in horror as tears slowly fell out of her eyes. Grafia quickly created a soft blanket made from snow to support and cool off their fallen body. She followed them to the ground and began to use healing magic to heal them. Surzex couldn't believe what he just saw. A kid not older than Rias had taken out all of his peerage without a scratch on his body. There was no way this boy was normal. No child should have this much power at this age. Anger was slowly building up inside Surzex. Bringing out his hand. In front of him, Surzex created a massive ball of destruction and shot it at Naruto. The massive power connected with the boy's body, creating a powerful shockwave that made a minor earthquake in the underworld. Every single devil woke up from the earthquake, with some of them asking themselves what had just happened. Thinking that the assailant was taken care of, Surzex decided to go to the ground to check on his peerage. Lucifer-sama, where do you think you're going? Turning his head in shock, Surzex saw some kind of ribcage covered with a purple flame had formed around Naruto, protecting him. He could see that his eyes had slightly changed, but Naruto was too far away to see clearly. This child, he was too strong, there was no way he could hold back. Now, he had to end this now, or else the boy may kill his beloved sister if he was given the chance. He and Naruto slowly landed on the ground. This time the ribcage had transformed into an upper body of a demon with horns on its head. The amount of magical power he was released was amazing. It made Surzex feel as if he was facing one of his fellow great Satans. However, just as he was about to attack, small footsteps rang out behind him, making Surzex's eyes widen in horror when he felt his sister magical energy heading for them. Naruto Kun! Ria screamed out with tears in her eyes while still running to him, with Akino and Kaneko following behind her. Please stop it! Surzex tried to scream out to his sister, but no matter how he tried, Rias wouldn't stop running. Surzex's eyes widened at the revelation that his sister somehow knew this boy. Surzex saw Naruto's eyes widen in shock and the skeleton slowly disappeared, leaving a wide-eyed Naruto looking at Rias with a shocked expression. Akeno-chan! Naruto stuttered and screamed out in anger. What are you doing here, Akeno-chan? Get out of here now, it's dangerous here. But when he saw the resemblance between Surzex and his Akeno, his face turned into an angry expression. Your real name was Rias Gremory, wasn't it? He asked her in a quiet tone, barely restraining his anger. Yes, Naruto-kun. I'm sorry because I lied to you. Rias lower her head in shame, but please. Naruto-kun, stop it, I don't want you to be like this. And oh, my mission is to kill you. The purple flames flared out again, but disappeared again. His eyes began to flicker between his normal eyes and crimson eyes with slit pupils. Naruto began to scream out in pain and clutched his head with his hands in agony and collapsed to the ground. Stop him. A strange demonic voice came from the blonde hair. Boy, he's being controlled, stop Naruto now. I can't hold him much longer. Even though Surzex didn't understand what was happening, he quickly ran to the boy and cast a sleeping spell onto him, but the boy broke out of the spell and kicked him in the stomach, knocking Surzex to the ground and stood up, running to Rias with his blade, ready to impale her through her heart. Just as he was about to reach her, an ice cell began to form around him, making Naruto unable to move. His body was struggling against the cell, trying to break free, but before he could do anything, 3 figures appeared and put their hands on his head. A giant magic circle appeared above his head, and no matter how hard he struggled, Naruto slowly drifted into sleep. Surzex, Grafia, and Lord Gremory breathed out in relief that it was finally over. Rias slowly made her way to the blonde when Grafia melted down the ice and hugged him tightly, breaking down in tears. Rias, calm down, honey. Venalana, her mother, tried to comfort her. We should bring this boy inside to rest, I promise we won't hurt him. Looked at her mother's kind eyes, Rias let go of her friend so that her brother could carry him in his hands. With a nod, he quickly flew into his bedroom and placed the boy there. Together, he and Grafia began to search for his memories to destroy the link between him and this master of his, who was controlling Naruto. They didn't have any reason to trust Naruto, but Rias's happiness was the only thing they needed to convince themselves. It had been 3 days since the attack on the Lucifer's castle, and everything was pretty much back to normal. Naruto, the boy who had sneaked into the castle in the middle of the night and took out all the members of the strongest peerage in the underworld, still didn't wake up. Security had been placed around the boy 24/7, and Surzex's peerage took turns to watch over the boy. The members like Beowulf or Tsuji Okita, who were easily took out by the boy, had to admit that they had underestimated him and had rightfully paid for their mistake. The protection wasn't for the people around the boy. If he were to wake up, they were protecting the boy. Surzex had said that they had to do whatever it took to protect him, this master of his might. Want the boy back or try to kill him, so Surzex couldn't have the boy's power. While scanning through his mind, Surzex had found out the boy's memories had been completely erased from his brain, and fake memories had been placed inside his mind. The memories were about Surzex and depicted his parents brutally killing the boy's family and relatives. This made Naruto wanting to make them pay for what they had done to him. He had found this master and went under his protection and would do everything to fulfill his master's intention. That was the reason why he wanted to kill Rias. They also find the remains of some kind of medicine inside his spine, and found out that it would automatically activate 4 hours after drinking water and destroy the memories of his master and everything related to him, even the missions and what happened at the castle that night. They didn't know who he was, but they knew that this master was very intelligent and knew how to hide himself. Speaking of the Rias, the girl had decided to tell her family about her story with Naruto, and they had believed Naruto was a good person. Now, he was just being used as a pawn by someone to kill Rias. The girl hadn't left Naruto, who was still lying in bed with his mind completely damaged from all the memories that were erased and needed some time to recover. Rias always sat in his room whenever she didn't have to study or train with her peerage. She had asked her brother or her parents almost 1,000 times about when Naruto would wake up and had tried to feed him soup when mealtimes came. Her parents usually found her asleep beside the blonde's bed. With her head resting on the bed, she had cried a lot and always prayed to her brother that he could wake up to play with her soon. While Rias was taking care of the blonde-haired boy, Surzex had to discuss with the other Mao about Naruto's conditions. He had found out that Naruto was completely human, but his body structure was really strange. He had a great healing factor that is almost as strong as the Phoenix's clan healing ability, a stronger body than normal. And even though he was unconscious, there was some kind of strange, almost yokai-like energy coming from him. A Juka? Surzex's best friend had checked his lifespan and almost dropped his equipment in shock at what he saw. The boy lifespan was longer than any human out there, and they also found out that no matter how old he is, Naruto would always keep the form of an adult man. When he finally grew up, Naruto's great power couldn't be denied. And as strong as he is, they couldn't let his power fall into the wrong hands, so everyone had decided that Surzex should watch over the boy, which Surzex accepted with a smile, considering that his sister was really loved the blonde, almost as much as a girl would feel for her boyfriend. And then, after a week in a coma, Naruto finally woke up. It was a nice morning when Gremory came to the bedroom to check on him, while Suji and Beowulf stood outside of the door waiting for her and help Gremory if she needed them. Gremory looked at the boy, who was lying on the bed with a frown. She still couldn't believe that this boy could melt down her ice spear by a power that could make him breath out fire like a dragon. She could understand how the power behind that flame could take out 3 of the strongest devils in the underworld. She had felt the power of Senjutsu behind that attack, and she knew how dangerous and powerful a spell could be with help with natural energy. While the strongest queen admitted that she had underestimated Naruto, she still thought what could have happened if she didn't look down on him. Her hands would be stained with the blood of an innocent child, and she would never forgive herself after that. Suddenly, just as when Gremory had finished changing the clothes for Naruto, the boy began to groan quietly. His body started to stir and his eyes were opening and closing rapidly due to the brightness of the light coming from the windows. Gremory rushed out the doors and quickly turned to Suji, who had the fastest speed among the 3 of them. Suji-san, please go find Surzex-sama, tell him that Naruto has woken up. Suji's eyes widened in surprise but quickly nodded his head with a smile. Before he could go to Surzex's office, Gremory stopped him again, and remember not to tell Rias-sama about it. She will rush into this room the moment she knows Naruto has woken up, and she will disturb Surzex-sama. Suji's nodded again with a smile, and by using his great speed, Suji instantly disappeared in a gust of wind. Yash, the boy had woken up. Beowulf punched his palm with excitement in his voice. Now I will have a rematch. Ouch. Onizen, I was just kidding. Beowulf screamed out in pain when the strongest queen stomped right on his foot with enough force to crack some bones inside him. Shaking her head in disappointment, Graphia quickly returned to the room. When she got back to the room, she saw the boy has completely woken up and was looking around with curiosity in his eyes. His blue eyes then landed on her, and Graphia smiled a little. The boy's eyes showed nothing but kindness and worry inside them. It was so different than the cold eyes that night. Hello, Naruto tried to find a proper word to call the beautiful lady wearing maid outfit before him, but felt that his mind was too fuzzy to think right now. The last thing Naruto remembered was playing with Akino as usual. He could feel some gash between his memories, but couldn't remember what it is no matter how much he tried. The next thing he knew, he had woken up on a soft bed, unlike the hard ground he was used to. Looking around, Naruto's eyes widened when he saw that he was in some fancy, expensive-looking place filled with so many things he couldn't believe he would see up close before. My name is Graphia Lucifero. I'm the head maid of the Gremory clan, also the personal maid of Sirzex Lucifer-sama. Graphia lowered her head a little to greet Naruto. It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto instantly gasped in surprise. If this was the personal maid of Sirzex Lucifer, then that's mean he was in the Lucifer castle. But how do you know my name, Graphia-san? Naruto asked nervously. Apparently she knew something about him. It's not every day a normal orphan like him from the capital Lilith could sleep in a castle like this, and in the Lucifer's castle at that. All your questions will be answered in due time, Naruto-san. Graphia nodded her head with a small smile on her face. Suddenly, the door opened and a handsome and young man in his early 20s with shoulder-length crimson-red hair and blue-green eyes walked in. Even if the man's face showed nothing but kindness and a playful smile on his face, Naruto could also feel monstrous, magical energy coming from inside him. This was the first time Naruto had ever seen the crimson red of the underworld, the leader of the four great Satans, Sirzex Lucifer. The strange thing was that the curves of his face, the shade of his crimson hair, his blue-green eyes, and even the hairstyle reminds him of her. He looks exactly a male, older version of Akino, thought Naruto. Naruto began to think about Sirzex. He had heard that he didn't have a child yet, which mean Akino was a relative of Sirzex. And he knew only one relative that could look exactly like the Mao, which was his sister, the princess of the Gremory clan. The Himojima Akino he had always played with was Rias Gremory. Shit. I'm in deep trouble, Naruto cursed out in his mind. He always knew his friend was rich, but being a member of the Gremory clan, which means she was one of the richest girls in the underworld and could be the most powerful princess in the underworld by her family lineage alone. How didn't he realize this before? How many devils had that crimson hair and the money that could buy everything she wanted with just a part of her saved up money? Seeing the blonde-haired boy hugged his head and shaking, Sirzex chuckled a little. He couldn't believe that this boy had wiped out his peerage and nearly made him use his real form to fight with him. That alone had speak volumes about the boy's power and what could he do in the future if he had proper training. Sirzex coughed in his hand to draw the boy's attention to him. Graphia took out a chair using her magic and put it beside the bed for her master. Sirzex thanked her and sat down in the chair, with Graphia standing behind him. Good morning, Naruto-kun, feeling well? He asked kindly. Sirzex didn't want Naruto feel overwhelmed or anything. The boy had just suffered brain damage and his mind clearly hadn't completely healed. After all. Ah yes, Surzek-sama, thank you for taking care of me. Naruto nodded his head and smiled nervously. It's not every day that he could talk with the great Surzek Lucifer, but sir, could I ask you something? After receiving a nod from Surzek, he proceeded. Why am I here? I mean, what happened to me that I'm in here? First, Naruto-kun, you just need to call me Surzek or Surzeksen, it's fine with me. Naruto smiled with a nod, and to answer your question, we had found you unconscious and suffering from a great deal of brain damage. You have lost a lot of your memories about your past life and you just remembered a few recent events, with my sister in it actually. Searches chuckled again, seeing the boy blushed in embarrassed. The story he just told Naruto wasn't a lie, but not the truth either. Everyone knew about that event, including Rias, and they had decided that Naruto shouldn't know about what he did to everyone, especially Rias that night. If he knew about that, Naruto might never forgive himself for nearly killing his best friend. The fake memories had been erased from his mind by that strange medicine, so they couldn't let Naruto find out the truth about everything. They couldn't think of what could happen if he found out. So Akino-chan's real name is Rias Gremory? Naruto asked. And received a nod from Surzek. That's right, Himojima Akino is actually the queen of Rias's peerage. The Mao explained to him Ria-tan actually want to be friend with you in a normal way, so she had given you her queen's name. She had very few friends that could play with her normally. You know Naruto-kun. Naruto thought about it. It's true that Rias had told him she had a lot of friends at school because all of them always looked up to her. The normal friends she did have were always some relatives or had the same status than her. At the time, Naruto just thought that she came from some rich family of Lilith, not one of the richest families in the underworld. Where is she now? He asked. She is studying right now. Surzek smiled. She didn't leave your side in the whole week, always tried to feed you soup and asked when you would wake up. Damn it, I was so jealous. Surzek screamed out, making Naruto jumped in surprise at the Mao's action, but he instantly shut up when Grafia brought out her hand and hit the back of his head hard. Please control yourselves, Surzek-sama, Grafia said. Dangerously, or I will. She finished with a wave of killing intent directed at her master, making Surzek nodded his head in terror. And Naruto's sweat dropped. Maybe even if Surzek was a Mao, he still could be very childish sometimes. And a Siscon too, if he guessed right. So, Naruto-kun, I had something to offer you, Surzek said, but this time he had said it seriously, making Naruto sit straight up too. Listen, would you like to become a member of my peerage? Naruto's eyes widened in shock. Surzek Lucifer had just offered him a chance to be a member of the strongest peerage in the underworld. They don't know about my special powers, do they? Naruto thought. Inside of his head, he couldn't remember much about his past. However, the thing he could remember clearly was the power he was born with. He had decided to keep it a secret even to Rias because he didn't want some power-hungry people use him. He knew a few lower-class devils like him were born with great power, until one of the high-class ones came and take them for their personal use. Naruto didn't want that to happen to himself, so that was the reason he decided to hide his powers. But then again, the Gremory clan were renowned for being devils with extraordinary affection. As such, they do not discriminate themselves from their servants and treated them like they were their own family. So the devils of the underworld always wanted to serve at the Gremory clan willingly. And he was like that too. Naruto wanted to work with the Gremory clan or at Lucifer's castle and always wanted to use his gift to help and serve good people. So the offer wasn't bad at all. Surzek's offering Naruto a chance to be a member of his peerage meant that he could protect Naruto better. Surzek's pieces were really popular among the devils because of how powerful they were. So if Naruto joined his peerage, people won't feel suspicion about his powers. Maybe other devils would believe that Naruto was a devil. But inside he was a completely normal human and without a sacred gear. This meant that having that much power could cause huge problems later on. After 5 minutes in thought, Naruto made up his mind. Surzek-san, will I see Rias-chan again after becoming your servant? Naruto asked. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, Ryutan always found some way to come visit me in the past. Then he smiled mysteriously, and now with you here, I guess I can meet my sister 24/7. Then I accept, Surzek-san. Naruto nodded his head and smiled. When Surzek brought out his pieces, Rias had finished her studies with her personal tutor, was ready to come visit Naruto again, with Akino and Kaneko following behind. Horror. Naruto's condition hadn't gotten better at all in the previous week. She had hoped that he would wake up soon so she could tell him the truth about her. She and Akino still felt slightly scared after that night, when Naruto stomped into her room and was ready to kill her with his own hands, but after she found out he was manipulated by some evil master, Rias was really relieved that Naruto was still the same person she had laughed and played with. Despite everything the adults said about how they would take care of him, Rias still tried to come to his room whenever she had free time, or didn't have to study or handle personal activities. Rias had tried to feed him the soup she learned from her mother, and usually fell asleep there until Graphia or her mother took Rias to her room. But no matter what happened, Rias always tried to visit him. Akino had teased her about Naruto every chance she got. Horror. Sadistic nature never left Rias alone when she was with Naruto or spaced out remembering about him. What worried Rias the most was that Akino found Naruto really cute and definitely wanted to get to know him when Naruto woke up. To make matters worse was that Naruto would want to know the real Himojima Akino. Kaneko, on the other hand, began to act strangely after feeling the power of Naruto. She said something about the power of Senjutsu. She had seen Kaneko sneak into Naruto's room before and just sat there with her eyes closed. But the strangest thing was that the little Nikomata brought out her cat ears and tail whenever she was around Naruto. When her brother asked the girl about Naruto, she had said that Naruto smelled like Toad and Fox at the same time. Also, Kaneko could smell the faint scents of cat, turtle, and a variety of animals from him, even slug and bug. First her, then Akino, and now he captured Kaneko's attention without even trying. Mumbling something girls her age shouldn't say, Rias went off to Naruto's room and tried to find some way to wake him up sooner, or maybe she should use her devil's pieces to help him recover faster. After all, they could even reincarnate someone already dead. Rias had planned that when Naruto woke up and after revealing her true identity to him, she would make him her servant, so that he will never leave her side. She was really glad that her parents had forgiven Naruto's actions that night and really wanted to get to know the boy
who had made their daughter so happy during the past few months. But when she already made her way to the corridor that led to
Naruto room, the purple sky outside began to darken and she felt that familiar feeling when Akino and Kaneko were reincarnated into devils. And that feeling was coming straight from Naruto's room, but the energy was 100 times stronger than her own. Quickly running to Naruto's room and bending her body down to avoid Tsuji and Beowulf, she pushed the door open and saw a blinding crimson light coming from the bed. Once her eyes got used to the light, she saw her brother and Grafia were standing beside Naruto, who was lying on the bed with 5 evils pieces hovering above him. She tried to scream out for her brother to stop, only for the evil pieces to fly into Naruto's chest and disappear inside him and finally turn him into a devil in Surzex's peerage. When the crimson light died down, Naruto opened his eyes and sat up. Strange, I thought it would hurt or something like that. Naruto puts a hand on his chest and thought about it. He turned his head to Surzex but finally noticed Rias' appearance in the room. Riaskin? The Crimson Mao and his maid turned around to face with an angry Rias Gremory, who was looking straight at her beloved brother with teary eyes, with her cheeks bulging. Surzex would have screamed out kawaii and hugged his sister right there, but he knew exactly the reason for her anger and didn't want to upset her more. Oni Itama, what did just you do? She muttered dangerously. You see, Ria-tan. Naruto had decided that he wanted to join my peerage. Surzex smiled playfully to his sister, and I had made him into one of my servants using the rest of my evil pieces. Cool, isn't it? A crimson aura began to appear around the little girl, her bangs shadowing her eyes. When Surzex opened his mouth to apologize to her, Rias looked up with an angry face and kicked her brother right between the legs. Die! Oni Ibaka! Naruto couldn't help but cross his legs and winced at the devastating attack he witnessed just now and looked at Surzex, who was writhing in agony on the floor with pity. After a lot of tears of both pain and sadness from the brother, Grafia finally pulled her master out of the room and gave the 2 children some space. Rias just sat in the chair and looked at Naruto like he had betrayed her or something. Decided to break the silence, Naruto asked her the question he always wants to ask. So, you're Rias Gremory? Naruto asked carefully, as he didn't want to anger her more or something. Rias looked at Naruto with a surprised face, then looked away with shame-filled eyes. She knew that lying to your friend, especially Naruto, who had become an important person to her, was bad, really bad. She tried to find the right words to answer him. After all, she just wanted to make friend with Naruto. A normal friend, with whom she could just be a child with. But she felt Naruto's hand on her head and she looked up to see the smiling face of Naruto. Don't worry, Rias-chan, no matter who you are, you will always be my first friend, Naruto said, then grinned, making Rias's eyes lighten up, her cheeks redden, and the princess finally broke into a smile. If we're friends, just call me Rias-chan like you used to, even in public, okay? Rias said to Naruto when he took his hand from her head. Naruto looked at her curiously. After all, he's just a servant of her brother and she is the princess, the next heiress of a big clan. He didn't know if calling her like that in public is okay now, considering that he had knows about her status now.
But if she wanted it, then he will do as she command.
Okay, Rias-chan. Naruto and Rias talked about a lot of things till afternoon when Naruto finally could get out of the bed, followed Rias through the corridors of the Lucifer's castle and finally made their way to the main dining room. Rias stepped in first, Naruto took a deep breath and followed behind her. Looking around the main dining room, he saw a lot of maids and servants were being ordered by Gremory and running past him to set up the food on the table for the Gremory family. Rias had been ordered from her family to bring Naruto here with her so he would eat dinner with the rest of her family. He could see that the man sitting at the head table with a warm smile watching him carefully was Rias's father, Lord Gremory, and the woman sat there beside him were Rias's mother, who looked like an older version of Rias, with the exception of her shorter hair. Both of them were looking directly at Naruto, making him feel slightly nervous and self-conscious. And then there were the two girls that sat near Rias. One of them was around the same age as Rias with very long black hair and violet eyes. Her hair being tied in a long ponytail, reaching all the way down to her legs with two strands sticking out from the top and sloping backwards with a blue ribbon keeping it in place. Her face was really cute yet a lot mature than Rias thanks to her ponytail. The most noticeable of her appearance was her asset, which was a little bigger than a normal girl her age should have. The girl looked at him with a smile on her face and winked at him when she saw his eyes landing on her. The next girl was a really cute little girl around 10 years of age with white hair and hazel eyes. At the front, her hair has two long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back has a short bob cut. The girl was looking at him with a blank expression on her face, making it kind of hard to tell what she was thinking in her head at the moment. But Naruto felt the energy coming from her very familiar. "Ah, Naruto-kun," Surzex said from behind him when he stepped inside the room. Naruto turned his head to see the crimson Lucifer smiling at him and kindly said, "Now, follow me, you will sit next to me, Naruto-kun." Naruto quickly followed Surzex to the table and sat down next to him. His seat was opposite to the white-haired girl, who still didn't take her eyes away from him, but then again, except for Gremory and the servants, everybody in this room were looking at him with curiosity. But he could see it wasn't just curiosity in the gaze from the black-haired girl's eyes. "To-sama, Ka-sama," Surzex said from his seat and motioned his hand to the blonde boy. "Let me introduce you to my newest servant, Naruto Uzumaki." Both parents didn't seem so surprised about the news. Naruto guessed maybe Surzex had told them beforehand that he was going to make Naruto his servant by using his devil's pieces. "Naruto. A pleasure to meet you. My name is Joseph Gremory, current head of the Gremory clan." Rias' father stood up and Naruto quickly did the same. Both of them shook each other's hand with a smile on their face. "Me too, Gremory-sama. A pleasure to meet you, Naruto-san. My name is Venalana." Gremory. Venalana stood up and said to Naruto and offered her hand to him. He just shook it like with Lord Gremory, making his wife smile a little and gaining a chuckle from Surzex. "The pleasure is mine, Venalana-sama." When Gremory finally finished her duties, she came and stood behind Surzex as usual. The servant began to put dinner on the table and Naruto could feel that he was really hungry and wanted nothing more then dig in and eat his food. But this was a high-class dinner, so he guessed he had to act like someone had proper manners. When everybody began to eat their food, Naruto tried to eat as slow as he could. He could feel two sets of eyes looking at him directly, and knew exactly who they belonged to. Graphia and Venalana, no doubt about it. So, Naruto-san, can you tell us more about yourself? Venalana broke the silence. Yeah. Venalana-sama. Naruto swallowed the food in his throat and said, there is not much about me really, as far as I remembered. I had been living on the street since I was 2 years old, traveled here and there until I stopped here at Lilith to try find a job or someplace that accepted me, but sadly that no one wants to take in a 10-year-old kid. That's all that happened to me until I met your daughter. Rias smiled brightly when she heard that part. Naruto had found out that the Gremory family was just like Rias. They were kind, warm, and could become very funny in the male members' case. The dinner was enjoyable with delicious food, good drinks, and a lot of laughs as Rias told them about her studies with her tutor and her magical power training. Speaking of training, an hour after the dinner, Naruto came face to face with Beowulf, the descendant of the hero Beowulf and also Xerxes' pawn, just like him. He has the appearance of a man in his mid-20s with brown hair and was one of the top 5 pawns in the underworld, which meant he was extremely powerful. Xerxes had decided they should test Naruto's power and told the boy he should go all out against someone like Beowulf. Graphia was standing outside with her hand raised to create a barrier to protect the Lucifer's castle against Beowulf's strength, but as when she cast her spells, Graphia's eyes kept glancing at Naruto. Well, nothing to hide now, he will show them his power. Rias was sitting in a chair behind the barrier with Akino and Kaneko. Even though she knew that Naruto had defeated all the members of her brother's peerage that night, she also knew that they had underestimated him, and there was no way Beowulf will make the same mistake again. She was really worried for Naruto and hoped Beowulf didn't hurt him much. The rest of Xerxes' peerage came to see their newest comrade in action. Even though they saw Naruto's power with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe he held that much power at such a young age. McGregor had done some research about humans who could use senjutsu and found out Naruto was what ancient humans called sage. Now, if you two ready, then begin. Just as Xerxes said that, Naruto instantly slammed his palm to the ground with some strange words spreading out everywhere, and in a puff of smoke, a tri-pronged kunai appeared on the ground. Naruto slowly picked it up and pointed it at Beowulf. Naruto-kun, do you really think you can defeat me with that little knife? While really impressed with the trick the kid had just used to summon the kunai, he also felt kind of put off that Naruto didn't use those powers from that night. He really wanted to test out the real strength of a sage and his power in senjutsu. But the pawn of Xerxes knew better than underestimate Naruto. We will see about that. Naruto smirked confidently and readied himself to pull the first trick he found out when he was 4 years old. This trick had helped him a lot in stealing food and was one of the most useful trick he had to help him survive. However, this was the first time he had used it in combat. Let's see what you got, kid. Beowulf smirked and ran with blinding speed at the boy. Tried to punch him, but Naruto had seen through it and stepped out of the way to avoid the strong punch. He quickly used his kunai to slash him, but Beowulf had caught his wrist and put some force into his grip, making Naruto yell out in pain and drop the kunai. He grabbed Naruto's collar and threw him high into the sky, making the spectators look in worry. "Come on, kid. Is that all you got?" Beowulf shouted out excitedly and lowered his body down, ready to jump up. But his eyes widened when Naruto's body instantly disappeared in the sky and he felt a hard punch in the back of his head a millisecond after Naruto had disappeared. What happened?" Rias asked wide-eyed when Naruto just disappeared in the sky like that. Then when she heard that strange sound, she looked back to the ground and saw Beowulf being punched by Naruto in the back of his head. Xerxes didn't answer his sister question. He was just like the others, who didn't understand what happened. He didn't feel Naruto move when he was in the sky at all. He also knew that there was no teleportation magic used. The boy couldn't just disappear, only to reappear instantly on the ground and punch Beowulf without him noticing like that. When Beowulf jumped back a little to make distance with Naruto, the blonde sure knew how to punch. It wasn't enough to knock him out, but Beowulf could feel the force behind that punch. Give or take a few years, the boy could take out a high-class devil with only his sheer strength alone. Picking up the kunai, Naruto pointed it to Beowulf again, this time with a smile on his face. "What is it, Beowulf nii-sama, feeling tired already?" A few members of Xerxes' peerage chuckle at Naruto's banter. "Well, I will let you attack me this time. Let's see what you got." Beowulf smirked when Naruto threw the kunai at him. With the speed Naruto had thrown it, Beowulf just had to sidestep, and the kunai would pass through him harmlessly. But just when the blade passed him, Naruto had appeared right in front of him in a yellow flash and caught the kunai before punching the older pawn in the face. Instantly snapping his head back, Beowulf tried to kick him, but Naruto had let go of the kunai, making it fall to the ground and disappeared again, only to reappear at Beowulf's left side and punched him in his right leg. Again, the brown hair man tried to catch the boy, only for him to disappear with the same movement with his kunai and reappeared at his right side and punched him on the other leg. Whenever he disappeared, he always drops that kunai. Beowulf thought in his mind when Naruto continued to punch him everywhere, doing the same movement. And he always reappears where the kunai is. That's it. Smirking, Beowulf prepared for Naruto's attack. When Naruto dropped the kunai again, he quickly caught it and threw it to the other side where the ground was uneven. When Naruto had disappeared again, but this time Naruto lost his balance and fell face first to the ground where the kunai was located. "Aha! I was right, kid!" Beowulf screamed out in victory when Naruto tried to get up. "That kunai is the secret of your trick, kid. You can teleport to wherever that kunai is, kid. That's why you could move that fast and you fell face first to the ground when I threw the kunai away from me because you didn't anticipate the kunai will go that direction. So that's why." Xerxes nodded his head in agreement. He had felt something strange about that kunai and could see some strange kanji on the handle from the beginning, but thought it was just the name of the kunai. Xerxes had thought that the kunai was just a normal weapon. He couldn't think it was a mark so that Naruto could teleport to its location.
But still, moving at that speed with just a kunai, this power could
come in very handy in the future. Who knows what Naruto can do when he masters it? He probably could use multiple kunai at the same time to face Beowulf through, increasing his combat powers immensely. Cursing out under his breath, Naruto didn't want to reveal more of his power. He wanted to defeat his senpai with just this skill alone. Smirking evilly, Naruto began to put his hand to the ground again. "Hey Beowulf and sama," Naruto asked, his evil smirk beginning to widen. "You want me to defeat you or humiliate you?" "What did you say, Naruto-kun?" Beowulf asked back. "I couldn't hear you." "Then so be it." Naruto finished and put his energy into his palm. The
marks appeared on the ground again, and in a puff of smoke, in front
of Naruto was dozens of the same kunai. He picked all the kunai up and smirked. "Wait, Naruto-kun." Beowulf paled immediately. With that much kunai, he wouldn't be able to predict where Naruto would teleport to. Plus, with the smirk on his face, he felt the kid had some evil plan in his head. "I was just joking." "Hey, no need to get angry. It was just a joke." "Yes, a joke?" On the sidelines, Surzex was thinking, "Never mind. Too late." Naruto smirked and 2 puffs of smoke appeared beside him to reveal 2 exact copies of Naruto standing there with the same smirk on their faces. The spectators gasped out in shock at the boy's power, especially Kaneko. If she was right, these were shadow clones. Her sister had told her all about ninjutsu after all. "Let's do it, boys." "Yeah, boss," the clone screamed out and began to throw the kunais everywhere alongside the real Naruto. Beowulf's eyes widened when a few seconds later, the whole area was filled with tri-pronged kunais, creating the perfect battlefield for Naruto. The clones disappeared and Naruto held his own kunai tightly in his hand and set out seriously. "Let the games begin." And then disappeared in a flash of yellow. Outside the barrier, the spectator saw nothing but blinding flashes of yellow around Beowulf, so fast that even Suji found it hard to keep up with the boy's speed. Inside the barrier, Naruto was punching Beowulf while teleporting all around like there was no tomorrow. The older pawn tried to catch him but failed as the boy was too fast. Darkness began slowly filling his vision as he was getting weaker. Until finally Beowulf lost consciousness and fell to the ground. Naruto reappeared in front of Beowulf's unconscious body and fell to his knee, breathing hard. His power was really tiring to use, and this was the first time he had used his kunai so many times. Still kneeling, he could feel his consciousness slowly drifting away from his body and began to fall to the ground. The last thing he saw was a mass of crimson hair before darkness completely took him. Naruto woke up the second time in a day, but this time, he could see. He was in someone else's room. The room was really girly with pink all over the place. There were a lot of teddy bear and all kinds of stuffed animals. In the middle of the room was a flat-screen TV and DVD player. Next to the TV was a large bookcase filled with books, which by the look of it were manga books. "Oh, Naruto-kun, you woken up." Naruto looked towards the sound and saw Rias sitting on a chair, facing a large mirror and brushing her crimson hair with a pink comb, with her looking very happy. "Rias-chan, why am I in your room?" Naruto asked in confusion. "Oh, I had asked my parents if you could sleep with me." Rias smiled happily, and guess what, they accepted, but I think Oniitama wasn't happy about that. Oh well. She stood up and began to take off her clothes, making Naruto blush furiously and turn away. Hey! What are you doing? He tried not to scream out, it was nighttime and he didn't want to wake up everybody here. Oh, I can't sleep with my clothes on, Naruto-kun. She answered him with her own smile, her cheeks reddening a little when she finished taking off her clothes and climbed onto the bed and hugged Naruto tightly, making Naruto cheeks even redder than before. What? You a problem with it? She asked with a glare. No, of course not. Naruto quickly defended himself. I hope she changes her mind in the future. I mean, she wouldn't want to sleep with a boy while naked in the future. Would she? Naruto asked himself in his mind and didn't know how wrong he was. Hey, Naruto-kun. Promise me that you will never leave my side. And never do anything that will worry me. Rias. Promise me. Rias said softly and hugged him even tighter, just like when we promised each other that day. She brought out her pinky finger and showed it to Naruto. The boy looked at her curiously but smiled and nodded his head. I promise. He hooked his finger to hers and the two of them smiled brightly.